Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the J&A Investments team. And today is a topic on why you should continue investing in Singapore's real estate market.
Yes, and not just why, and what is the repercussion if we don't consider investment as a tool set for retirement.
So I think the common question is, or the common factor that we always see is that people are very comfortable where they are, whether it's their own stay home, whether it's their HDB, and they don't see the need or they feel like it's very troublesome to go through the whole process of trying to sell and thinking of how to upgrade. If let's say they're not in the industry itself, they think it's a lot of hassle to try and replan it. And so for a lot of them, they're okay with just staying put. Even for like our parents, usually once they're in, it will be like 20, 30 years.
Yes.
Because they say, it's comfortable. Why you go and like make things so difficult and complicated, right?
Yes.
And that's when they say, okay, I'm just going to stay put. So today, I think we'll touch a little bit on if we were to stay put versus if, let's say, we had the opportunity to grow the capital and move on, what would the differences be like? And even if we had the opportunity to move, should we max out everything just to get the biggest capital appreciation also?
Correct. So that's something that we're sharing a story that is very close to heart, and there's something that we want to give people insight of why it's important that real estate investment is not just a want, but it's actually a need in today's world. Right? So what should I do? Let's start. So the first thing I would talk about will be why property investment. Okay, so Grace, why?
I think everybody, whether it's property investment or any kind of investment, right, is to keep your money relevant. Because if you have to put in the bank, you know that today's $100, in 20 years' time, it's not going to be $100 because of inflation and the deflation of your money.
Yes.
So I think with everything being expensive, especially in Singapore, it's important to make sure that your money keeps growing. And everybody's ultimate goal is to retire.
Yes.
So it's how do you grow the asset to retirement?
And it's getting harder and harder to retire nowadays. I mean, especially in Singapore, high cost of living. Where you can see in this article done by Straits Times, the amount that Singaporeans need when it comes to retirement. Okay, talking about today, it's about 936,000 USD, which is equivalent to almost 1.3 million. And this is just liquid assets. Okay, why are they looking at this number? It's not too far off because this amount is to last them for a lifetime. Where you retire at maybe 60. You have almost 35 years to go.
And people are getting older and older, living longer and longer.
And the cost of living and with inflation, things are getting tough. So that's when we see real estate as a source of a fund, a source of an investment tool that we can adapt to help us to achieve our goals for retirement. All right. And another thing that we also been researching about is our inflation rate. Okay, fun fact, Singapore on average inflation is almost 3%. And you can see what it means later on because it seems like a small number, 3. But when it compounds, it becomes a very scary reality. So on average, you can see it hit from 0.4 at some years all the way up to 6+%, which did happen during COVID-19. And that's something that we look at to see how does it impact our daily life. Okay, so why is it important? I said inflation because if you understand the importance of inflation is that it erodes the value of your money. So what it means is if you talk about $100, okay, it's saying that within the 10th year, this amount based on a 5% inflation, okay, would have dropped to close to $60. And this same amount of money, in the next 10 years, it will drop to close to $38.
That's quite scary.
Yeah, it's scary.
You're not doing anything with your money just keeps getting lesser and lesser. And it's not like you're spending it.
Yes. And if you just keep the $100 in your biscuit tin below your bed,
gone, lor.
Gone, yeah. It just means 500k of cash, even put in a bank, it's only worth 190k in 20 years' time. So it's really running against time. So you need something that can hedge against inflation, which comes to real estate, which we'll understand why later on. And one more perspective, you take a look. If you want to retire, another thing to take note is the buying power of your money. $100 today, okay, it's not worth $100 20 years down the road. Okay, $100 today, if you take a look, okay, it'll be worth, okay, the buying power of 100k, for example, to retire in 1989. If you want to get the same amount of money, you need 250k.
So about 2.5 times.
2.5 times more. Okay, so why is it important to understand this is that if you are saying, okay, right now, recently I saw an article, rather some post online. They say right now, the uni graduate, they say that, hey, I have 350k that I save up because of my side gigs and all these things. I think I can retire. What should I do next? So that's when it hit me that, wow, if you want 100k to retire today, okay, it's not 100k. You need to save at 350k. Or 250k. So 250k in order to retire for the next 3 years. Next 30 years. So there's something that we have to take note when it comes to retirement. It's not about just looking at how much money you have today. It seems like 3,000 I can last for next 3 years, next 30 years, sorry. But this doesn't account for inflation, right? And why is there inflation in the first place? Okay, like one key driver, a fun fact, is that happened during the 1980s when the government actually lifted out the gold standard. Okay, which means long time ago, money, the value of money is pegged to the amount of gold, which is limited in the world.
Yep.
So the value of money is always stagnant for some time. You can see before 1980s. But after 1980s, the government lifted up a gold standard, which means they can print any amount of money to stimulate the economy. So it means I can, next day, I feel like, economy is not good. I can just print another $100 million to stimulate the economy.
So from a layman's perspective, people would think, actually not bad. Like if I'm lacking of money, I just print and it solves my problem. But behind the scene, it's also causing another bigger problem.
Yes.
That the value of money just decreases because you just have too much of things and the value just goes down.
Correct. It's like $100 spread over more notes. So naturally, what we notice is the value of money will be decreasing over time. And it's something that is a ticking time bomb that is happening that time. So that's why instead of just holding on to money and cash, if you're feeling safe, they have 100 million, or let's say you have $1 million in your bank. One thing to take note is you must take into account for the cost of inflation. Yeah. And the worst part is inflation is a double whammy. Okay, why? Because while your money depreciate, the things that you spend increase in terms of costing.
Like double sword, double effect.
Yeah, double effect. Yeah. So what we see is, fun fact, in 1990s, kopi only worth 40 cents. Okay, but meanwhile, in 2010, the kopi is $1.20.
Yeah.
3 times increase. That's 2010, but it's later you can see now the kopi is at least 150 thereabout. So you can see
the kopi ping is close to $2.
$2. And it's something that we see happening not just in food, the kopi. It also happen in public transport, movie tickets, taxi services, even marriage.
But something seems to go down. Like overseas holiday, brokerage fee, taxi service means can go for more holiday because price drop.
Price drop because Singapore getting more and more expensive. So there's something that is a silver lining. But in general, a lot of things are increasing in value, increasing in costing. So it means that if you don't safeguard our money and use it to invest in places that can appreciate hedge against inflation, you will get a double whammy in both cost of living and also a deflating cash. Okay, and in the recent times, you must understand there's also short-term inflation. That in COVID-19, the inflation went up by almost 6 to 7 to even 9% in certain kind of things. And this is some things that we can see if we are looking at today's market. Inflation is something that has to be a concern. And that's why the next part is, how does real estate then help in terms of fighting against inflation?
Yeah, so I think everybody is planning for retirement, right? I think for your case-wise, it's a little bit closer to heart.
Yes.
Because for your parents wise, I think the story that we'll be sharing is a very good comparison between what would have happened if you were to hold on to a HDB versus if, let's say, someone held on to a private, what the difference would be looking like, let's say, when it comes to a point where they're going to retire.
Yes, indeed. And it's something that I'll be sharing a little bit of my story later on. And one thing that why we are so fervent about real estate investment, we realize it's no longer just a want. It's actually a need. And it's something that is important to let more people know about it so that they'll be able to be empowered and helping them when it comes to retirement. And one fundamental at real estate, why it's able to hedge against inflation, because real estate is land by itself. And while the money value depreciate because of inflation, land by itself hold its value and constantly to appreciate because of inflation even down to the building materials, the service, the workmanship, there's all type of real estate. It goes up in value. So that's why over time rental increase in value, which is something that helps to hedge against inflation. It helps to preserve your value over time. Okay, so with this, maybe I'll just share a very short snippet of a story which I think some of you may have heard before about my parents. So this is something that happened almost close to 10 years ago. Okay, so my parents basically had a real estate agent who actually came in the picture and tell them to upgrade to a condo. Okay, so it's fine. That is all right.
Sounds nothing seems wrong at this time.
Nothing sounds wrong at this time. But one thing they told my parents to do is before they sell the HDB, want them to commit to a condo, which is okay, a little stretch, but not just to one condo unit, but to 2 condo units. And those were times in 2010 when things are a little, I would say, fuzzy, when they don't have anything like TDSR to do things. And what happened is they did buy the condo, but in the end, because of financial wise, they had no choice but to sell it off, and that caused a lot of financial burden by family members because of wrong advice. In fact, one of the condo which they actually bought over, it was left empty for almost 1 year. And they have also a HDB. So imagine you have to finance 3 condo unit while juggling, and they had to sell prematurely. And in the end, everything was sold. And my father had to downgrade to a HDB before declaring his financial status. And that really took a hit in the whole entire family. So that's not just all. Okay, when we look back, okay, this HDB where they helped actually depreciated close to 14.4% down to 2019. Okay, which is old HDB. It was left 50 plus years old. Okay. And not just that, lucky, we're not the most unlucky one. There are people who bought at the peak 2013 that depreciated 40%. Okay. But what we noticed is the condominium that my parents was recommended, if they were to rent out one and they rent out the other 2, and the HDB they sell it off and perhaps don't spend too much in terms of the costing, this property will appreciate close to 62.65% from the time when they sold all the way to the time when they reassessed this property.
Yeah.
And notice that if you talk about today, if you hold to these 2 property and sold off the HDB and stay in one while renting on the other, it appreciate close to 100%.
Yeah. So I think this also shows the importance of making sure your planning is done right. Of course, everybody's dream is about upgrading and going to the private, but you also have to make sure that your finances is done properly before you even take that step. Because the key in property investment is always affordability. So there is no point in trying to stretch your loan tenure, trying to stretch your loan when the down payment is very unaffordable for you, and it comes to a point where you don't have any safety net set aside. That's why the first thing we always tell our clients is, have you already set aside your safety net?
Yes.
Because as much as real estate is stable, nothing is guaranteed, nothing is certain. You have to make sure that sites are covered in a way that if something do happen, you have something set aside to at least cover the mortgage.
Yes, indeed. And there's something that is more important than just choosing the right property. And why is that so? Because if things are done well, okay, back to this Garden in Bishan, they could have made close to 1.56 billion in capital appreciation. And with the rental and liquidating everything, there are a lot of passive income, 4 to 5K if unsold. If they unlock everything, they'll get about 2.8 million equity.
Yeah.
Which means if they were to downsize to a 500K HDB with the remaining 2.3 million, putting into a fund, they could easily get close to a 15 to 16K of passive income every single month. And that could retire them today at the age of 60 and 55. But right now, because of a wrong move, they had to restructure. They had to depend on different kinds of investment strategies to give them the kind of life they want today. Although the outcome is still similar, but the key thing is if I wasn't in real estate, they will have problem retiring.
Yeah, but because I think where they are today is because you help them to restructure the whole portfolio. But of course, then you have to restart from the start again.
Correct.
Because the move was already made wrong. So every step really changed the trajectory of a person's investment journey such that, yes, you can make things right, but it's an opportunity cost that you're going to have to face. So why not make sure everything is done properly right at the start so you don't have to go through that phase also.
Yeah. So that's why we are very firm with this investment, and we want to share this, especially linked to this topic today, which is HDB and investment property. All right, so this is the first part of what we hope to share with you. Okay, if you'd like to find out more, okay, you can stay tuned to our next video, and we're more than happy to share with you part 2 of this series. So my name is Chris.
This is Grace.
I hope to see you soon. See you.
Bye.
Bye.